Well, good morning, everybody. This is Lowell White, your host of 360 Performance on a Saturday, not on a Friday. Well, here's why. We tried to go live yesterday on Facebook Live, and that wasn't exactly what we planned when we did not have adequate digital connections. That would require Wi-Fi and cellular service. We were in an area that I didn't anticipate, working with some clients in Minnesota, and the internet systems weren't exactly what we expected. So here we are, talking to you today. So we're gonna post this a little bit later. We're on YouTube live right now, and we may get a few people coming in, but we're gonna save this and repost it on Facebook when we get done with the video. So today is a day where we're going to capture a little bit about the NFL and what's been happening with the NFL and camps and clinics. And then we're going to talk a little bit about golf. A lot of golf activity this weekend. There's the FedEx Cup playoffs that that are being held at the Northern Trust Tournament. It's at the Liberty Golf Course in San Francisco. Well, I think it's the San Francisco Bay Area for sure. But I'll get you some details on that in just a minute. So looking forward to sharing some more things with you, and really taking some time to share with you about what's gone on with me over the last few days. Was in a wonderful part of the country, actually probably a wonderful part of the world, in Minnesota at Breezy Point Lodge in Minnesota, north of Brainerd, Minnesota, about an hour or so. We were there working with some of our clients and colleagues on performance issues. And I wanted to share with you something that came out of that, and was the word family. We talk about mindset as our first segment, which we're going to do today, starting right now. And the word family, people will be in a team setting, teamwork setting, and they'll talk about family and family values, their outlook on family, which is wonderful stuff. And very optimistic. In fact, many times that's the reason the word family comes up, is to drive people's mindset and attitude towards that positivity that surrounds family. Now, I in the session, and I said, that's wonderful, bringing up and wanting to desire family values and family conscious thinking and being part of a family. But quite honestly, not everybody comes from a very positive place when the word family is referenced. And we need to consider that when we use family as a motivational term to promote teamwork, promote getting together and connecting as a team. Because some people may come to the table not understanding what that means, what the positive side of that means. And also in our culture today, a two-parent family isn't necessarily the foundational components necessary to maintain a positive and rewarding family lifestyle and outcomes. So I encourage the group to stay focused on family as a positive term, but really define it. Define what that participation means, what kinds of values you're trying to promote in your culture as it relates to family. Because as we found out, not everybody understands what family is, because their frame of reference is different than yours. So I asked people to come up with words that would be relatable for everybody. For example, in family, there's the implication of a team, and camaraderie and kindness, as well as competition, like for food. And in some families, the competition for food was like being at a training table with a pro or college sports team. If you don't get it first, it's gone, and there's no recovery from it. So be focused on that competitive pressure in the family unit and what that means. So it's interesting when we talked about family. So I want you to think about that as well. Think about family, what that term means, especially if you're trying to integrate the family into your culture in the professional settings. Don't presume that everybody has the same mindset that you do about the issues of family. And speaking of mindsets, as a segue into the FedEx playoffs for the PGA golf tournaments, at the Northern Trust tournament that's being held at Liberty Country Club, it is interesting. At the beginning of the second round, before it started, Tiger Woods decided to withdraw himself from the tournament. He hasn't done that since 2017, back in February of 2017, when it was just before he went, actually decided, and probably because of that withdrawal, decided he needed the spinal fusions that have brought him to this place today. Now, with the things I do with athletes and the observations and discussions I have with trainers and strength conditioning coaches, you learn a lot about your body and what the mind needs to do and knowing what your body's all about. And I'm guessing by now, Tiger Woods has gone through enough experiences. He totally understands his body at a point that when the muscles start telling you they're not going to perform in the same way, and if you continue to push it, it might exacerbate the situation and make it worse. He's well aware of what those feelings are. So he withdrew. I wish him well. Hope he has a chance to come back for tournaments in the future. His presence on the golf course is more than just the game he plays, but his presence is a motivator and a wonderful influence to not only the golfers on the course, his colleagues and teammates, but also for golfers all around the world watching what he does and how he does it. He has set the pace for many, many people to get into the game of golf and pursue it. So take a look at that and be aware that Tiger's not going to be there. Now, that being said, the leaders as of today, the sessions have started, but Dustin Johnson was on top with a -12, followed by Jordan Spieth, who hit a 64 to get into that -11 in the second round. What's also interesting to me is the FedEx Cup standings, in addition to this playoff session for FedEx during the Northern Trust tournament at Liberty Country Club, is that Dustin Johnson is on top of the Cup players and followed by Koepka, and then quickly followed by Rory McIlroy, Matt Kuchar, and then rounded off with number 5 at Jon Rahm. Now, I'm not going any further than that because with these points totals at this particular level, if you're not in the hunt in the playoffs in the top 10 to earn some points, it's going to be difficult for you to make any major jumps. And quite honestly, there's so many algorithms and statistical models and analysis of if you do this, then this kind of thinking with not only golf, but all different kinds of sports these days. So it looks at, Dustin Johnson is definitely in the hunt. Those top 3 in particular, Koepka and Rory McIlroy. Now, McIlroy and Koepka both aren't golfing that well, and there was a little bit of a rules issue this week with the playoff and Rory. So you could do some things to dramatically and detrimentally impact your position with the FedEx Cup during the playoffs if you are not staying focused, staying on task. So that's my next point for today on our mindset segment, is just like with what the presumptions are with the use of the word family, you can't presume. Got to be sharp, got to open your perspective up and look at what's being presented. And I'm going to say the same thing here with the attitude and mindset of athletes looking to maintain a position, but in that maintenance, don't lose sight of your game. Your game got you there. So try to make sure that the numbers don't influence your head. And then with that influence in your mind, it then has an influence on not having a delivery of the game that got you there. That freewheeling, take a shot at the pin when you're up by 2 strokes. I was watching Koepka a few tournaments ago, and he was handily in the lead with the tournament, but was still playing his game. still attacking the pin, managing the course, playing it the way his mindset drives him to compete. Now there are those who will argue with me about managing the course as well as managing the competition. When you look at the table, the scores table, and you see where you're at with regard to the tournament, you might say, just lay back a little bit. But for many players, that's not who they are. They don't play that way. That's that kind of play got them there. That aggressive, take charge, hit your shots when your shots are able to be hit, and not sit back and wait. So that's an important point that I've learned about advising athletes and elite performers in the corporate world is be you in that moment, every moment. Use the techniques that I've shared with them to, the breathing techniques, the mental focus techniques in preparing for a game. In fact, I'm going to go over a preparation technique that I use for mental toughness. And it's something you can do before you even get to the course or the ball field or the hardwoods. So I'll let you all know. Golf, basketball, football, volleyball, court, fields, course, hardwood, whatever the case may be. Now, this is a very sophisticated tool, okay? Washer, which you can get almost anywhere. And by the way, just so you know, here's the different kinds of washers. They have different size holes. It doesn't matter. So here's a washer here with a little teeny tiny hole. Here's one with a bigger hole. And the string is really the key for me. It doesn't really matter what string you use, just something that's, not going to fray on you. And about 10 inches is about what's right, because then you tie the knot in it and off you go. This is about mental conditioning, focusing your attention on the little things in the moment. So you have this washer, you put it in your hand, put your elbow on the ground. Now you can have your arm out like this as well. I'll demonstrate that as well, but I'm going to put my elbow on the table. And this is a bridge between mindset and skills, because it takes your awareness of your 5 senses to direct. The mindset is to do the things I'm going to instruct you to do, and you've got to control those 5 senses in a way to accomplish what I'm going to ask you to accomplish. So here's the deal. So I'm just going to shake it up, get it moving, and then what I'm asking you to do when you do this is stop the washer from moving. So if you're watching this, I'm concentrating. Getting the washer to stop. There it is. Now I want to go back and forth with it. And this takes a little concentration. Now remember, I have been doing this quite a while. Now the thing is, can you change the direction with your mind? Just thinking through it, controlling all those very small movements, and there it is, back and forth, front to back now, front to back, bigger swings, bigger swings. Can I do it? And while I'm doing that, can I make it go in a circle? Circle, come on, this is tougher. The circle's tougher. There it is, there it is, there it is. All right, now let's see if I can stop it. Breathing, focusing, controlling it. There it is. So, how many of you believe my mind, it was all my mind, focusing my mind on the washer, on the string? Well, for kids, when I do this for kids, they go, my God, it's magic. Well, it is kind of magical, because you're trying to get yourself focused on you in this moment, on this string, with this washer. You're focusing the feel, your breathing, the sensitivity in your body, and the thinking that you're going on to. So there's only a few of your foundational skills of your 5 basic senses that you're really manipulating to accomplish what I accomplish. Back and forth, front to back, in a circle, stop it. This is the essential in a very organic, simple way to get your mental toughness activated and to control you in that moment. The more you practice this, and remember, you're not trying to do this and swinging. It's you let it be here. Now you might take the other hand and do that to get it moving. And then you're trying to control all the small movements and stop that washer. And then without moving your hand again, you're going to try to move the washer side to side. These are things that you can control with your five senses and get your mind focused on this moment with that item. And then as you get into the event, basketball, football, whatever position you're in, you then expand that practice into the skill sets, moving your mindset with the skills into performing what you want to perform at the level you want to perform it, making it worthwhile and really accomplishing some big things. But as I say that, and we bridge into the next segment, which is skills, we'll talk a little bit more about the skills. And that's, remember, skills is our five senses. That's what we talk about. Now, so the FedEx Cup standings. Koepka is down a little bit. He's not performing that well at Northern Trust. Now, my prediction is Koepka's going to make a move today. He needs to make a move for a number of reasons. One, he needs to get some points and stay up there and compete for his second spot to overtake Johnson. But Johnson's in the lead. So I think Koepka's going to play his game. He has, and I say that because he's done that. That's what he's done. And I believe that Dustin Johnson knows that. Jordan Spieth knows that. Rory McIlroy knows that. And that, especially for Rory McIlroy, I've watched Rory McIlroy, and I know that the situations like this and the activity that's gone on in the first two rounds with him, not all that comfortable, rules violations, considerations. It's getting in Rory's head. He had examples of these kinds of things back in during the Masters tournament and other tournaments during the season where things just, the British Open, for example, people were really expecting some big things with him. And his mindset going in was, I'll just take it as it comes. Just, but that's not Rory McIlroy. So if he has that positioning like he did during the British Open, it's not going to be a fun scenario for him. He needs to step it up and really, really make it happen for himself. So I'll be watching Rory to see if that kind of thing happens. So anyway, coming back to the five senses, which is our skill-based stuff, it's just, I'll just go through each of the senses. The breathing we talk about all the time. Breathe in through your nose, out through the mouth. Now, it's not that kind of stuff. It's breathing in through your nose with your shoulders kind of rolled, and your tummy will extend, and that's going to center in your structure. So your frame is going to be anchored. So when you're out on the course, you're on the basketball court, you're on the football field, baseball field, whatever the case may be, breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth is important to anchor and settle your skeletal system into your hips. The breathing helps with the cardiovascular system, manage nerves, manage the situation. Now, as you're doing that, use your vision to imagine where you want to go. I do this a lot with hitters on the on-deck circle, making sure they're breathing as they're swinging the bat in the on-deck circle. Get that cycle and that rhythm in the hitting. It's the same thing true with golfers. As you're on the tee box, or not tee box, the driving range, doing your workouts. Get the breathing, use the vision, listening as well to what's going on. What does the sound of the ball sound like when you make contact? Baseball or golf? What does the sound of the ball sound like on the floor when you're dribbling? Does it have the same power and impact that you want for that move that you're going to make? Those are all things that go into you evaluating your performance and getting cues through the connection of your mindset to your skills, things are working. It feels good. And now we're at that feeling part. What does the grip feel like? Do I have all those things feeling good? Like today, I'm thinking about changing. I've got a golf tournament today, and I'm thinking about changing my golf glove because the one I've got just doesn't feel, doesn't feel like I want it to feel. And even as I say that, the new one I'll put on is going to feel perhaps too tight. And I'm going to wait, let it. So there's all those different feelings. Now, with that being said, the fifth sense is the taste. Well, I'm not going to be like some baseball players I know that lick their bat. I don't see any connection, nor have I. And I've asked if there's a connection about that, what taste does. Now, here's what I will say about taste. I like coffee, and I drink my coffee. It's having those kinds of things in my bag, on the cart, with me. Now, the pros aren't, obviously not going to be in a cart. It's going to be in your bag. But there are certain things that taste, that feel with the taste of how cool or warm it is. Those are all key things to balance the chemistry, get it in a place where it needs to be for you. So coffee. It's good stuff. So that kind of wraps it up. I've been asked by people, make a better connection, be more connected to the actual performance function of what I'm trying to do with the five senses, the mindset. And a reminder too, on the mindset stuff, remember we talk about removing the negative. Removing the negative is what we want to do with the mindset and starting every day. So thinking through where you're going to be today and creating a great mindset. It's just good stuff. Now, as I say that, I want to take a pause because we're going to be doing some stuff next week with AvCare and their products. We've got the Waltz Free and the Waltz D disinfectant. Waltz Free is their hand lotion, germicide. Great stuff. Remember, it's always just a little drop in the palm of your hand. Of course, my bottle is not responding the way it should. So a little drop in the palm of your hand, about like that. And it's good for 4 hours. It's a great germicide. I have to clean that out later. But you can get that on avkare.com, avcare.com. Check out their website. And definitely the Waltz Free, what used to be called Germ Block, and they still have that. So get some of that. The inventory is there. So get some Germ Block, which is now soon to be called Waltz Free. And then there's the Waltz D disinfectant. Love the foam disinfectant, especially put the foam disinfectant inside shoes, kills the smell, the bad odor. Your backpacks and your bags you take with your gear in it. It's really, really effective with that, especially hockey players. Whoa. So Waltz D at AvCare, avcare.com, avkare.com, avcare.com. So good stuff with what's going on. And as we get into the our segment on finishing the segment on skills, I want to just bring in a little bit about football. We've got a lot of stuff going on in the football community right now with camps. And, we had the game of the Broncos and Atlanta at the Hall of Fame game, which is all good stuff. Remember that we've got some really good stuff going on with football. So let me just bring up some of those good things that's going on. There's a new initiative by the NFL called the Way to Play Initiatives for High School Football. Now, this is this program is in partnership with Huddle. Now, for those of you, many of you already know what Huddle is. It's HUDL, Huddle. They're they capture videos. You can your football teams at the high school level and perhaps even or at the college and perhaps even the high school level. They use Huddle to as the framework dashboard to capture video and then cut that up and show teammates and position coaches what's going on with their teams. They also use it for game film capturing. So the NFL Huddle, actually, it's the NFL Legions group and their youth advisory committee. They're announcing the extension of the Way to Play initiative to high school football and helping highlight proper playing technique to protect players from unnecessary risk and to foster culture change across all levels of the sport. Now, here's what that means. They started this last year officially and had been talking about it prior to that. And it's, things like tackling technique, things like the use of your hands, proper use of your hands, proper positioning of your body to make a good tackle and execute the game of football properly. Now, the NFL the NFL Way to Play High School will have an awards process that will honor one high school football player weekly for demonstrating exceptional in-game playing technique. So this is an awareness campaign the NFL's got going on. The high school award recipient will be announced on the NFL Network each Saturday morning. Now remember, you can go to NFL.com to look at that. But that honoree will receive a $1,500 equipment grant through USA Football, which I think is very exciting. The football operations representative for the NFL are a number of people. I'm going to give you the one that I like to refer to as Troy Vincent. They are panelists that will. So here, I'll give it to you the whole thing. I like Troy Vincent, but these are the panelists that will evaluate which high school player gets the award every week. Phil Bogle, Kevin Booth, Jay Manahan, Roman Oben, and John Runyon, along with Troy Vincent, will serve as the panelists. Now, it's I'm trying to look at the rest of the data here. It's quite exciting. So be aware of that. That's a new thing for the NFL that's coming out. Now, with that being said, let me also talk about what's going on with the weeks to come with the NFL and what you should expect. For some reason, I lost my light. I'm not well lit here. So the NFL program is doing some great things, but what we've got coming up this weekend are some great games. And I want to get the schedule up on my screen here so I can show you what's going on with Okay, so this is week 2 of 5 of the preseason, and we've got the Chargers and Cardinals have already played, and that was the Cardinals took a win on that. The Steelers beat the Buccaneers yesterday, and the Vikings beat the Saints. So today's games are going to be the Rams and the Raiders, Bengals and Chiefs, and Cowboys 49ers. And those will be, depending on where you're at in the country, on various networks. So good stuff. And I'm not going to step into the predict who's doing what, where type of thing. It doesn't make sense to do that because there's so much jockeying going on around the leagues about what rookies get a shot, what rookies get playing time. But as we can all appreciate, the pros, the full contract people, like with Denver, it's going to be Flacco's obviously in there, Von Miller's obviously in there. As we get closer and closer to the regular season playing, like weeks 3 and 4, actually weeks 3, 4, and 5, you're gonna see more and more of the starters staying in longer and longer. And I would imagine, depending on how the Broncos fare in their wins and losses, you may see some of those people sooner than later, so that coaches can really start honing in on improving technique, managing game situation scenarios. Like I said last week, hey, why don't in the third quarter of your preseason games, why don't we punt and try to, instead of going for a fourth down, why don't we punt and practice our punt recovery or quick kick type scenarios? Just to show people that, hey, we've got this in our book of tricks, and see how other teams respond to your strategizing. It's an interesting scenarios. Oh gosh, got a lot of people calling in. So thank you so much for your support with 360 Performance and KUHSdenver.com. Always there with the fans to share my support with you about how great it is to be doing what I'm doing and sharing what I can share with you. But, just bringing back that technology thing, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough to get in there. All right. So let's continue. We're on our segment on mental conditioning. So we talked about the washer and the string, mental toughness. The mental conditioning piece is about, about environment, and it includes processes. We've got to know how we're going to progress through dealing with the environments we're in. They've got great weather out on the West Coast for the Northern Trust tournament at the Liberty Golf and Country Club. That's going to be, it's just pristine. It's a pristine area. So I wouldn't anticipate a lot of adversity with the weather when you're out there. So for me, with that situation with golfers, it's more about the environment of people and structure and things that are on the course that might set you off. I know there are a few golfers, and I won't name their names. There's a few golfers. There's certain things in the crowds, in the gallery, that if they see it, it'll cause them to pause. There are smells that will cause them to pause. Well, there are some smells that cause everybody to pause. But that being said, out on a wonderful golf course, the traditional smells of flowers and trees and grass and what have you, there are some golfers, and once again, we'll go nameless, that they have to mentally get themselves conditioned to, when they smell those smells, which are generic and part of the environment almost in every golf course, they've got to prepare themselves to handle that. And that's interesting. And many of fans and coaches, for that matter, don't understand that and don't adjust to it and adapt to what the environment can present and create for you. So with golfers, that's a serious issue. With football, and I'll reference going down to football and baseball both. Football and baseball with high school and college, pros to a lesser degree because they've got resources and facilities to change their exposure to temperature changes, environmental conditions, and what have you. But with college in particular, my experience, in high school to a certain level, is temperature and water, just hydration. Hydration is a big issue for making sure that players are aware of staying hydrated. Some of them get so focused in technique, and the status of what they're doing. It's that mindset skill thing combination, but they then begin to forget about what the environment provides, and they need to before they get there, set a mindset. I'm going to hydrate. And almost a mantra. I'm going to hydrate. So making sure they have that mindset set. So when it comes to the environment and the mental conditioning part and activating the connection between mindset and your skills, that you go get water. You know what it feels like when you have a dry mouth. You know that if you touch your lips and they feel pretty cracked, you better go get some water and some moisture or some chapstick or all of the above. It's making those connections and this especially happens with my high competitive players. They will tend not to think about two primary things as it relates to environment and the connection between skill and mindset. And that is snacks and hydration. Got to stay focused on those things. Now, there's other players, not a problem. They're all over it. In fact, maybe to another degree, I get too much water. I use it as a distraction. I want a snack bar or Jelly Belly or those little jelly fruit things that Nike has because I need energy. And there are some players, especially at the high school level, that use that as an excuse and reduce their ability to learn the skills, learn the executions. So coaches, watch that you have players that are going to the snack bar too soon or too often. So that's an interesting play that you have to be aware of at the younger levels. The maturity level or the lack thereof is what causes players to tend to go to the snacks and the hydration for the wrong reasons. And environment, the convenience of water. I know in the high school level, they have these little troughs with the hoses that pop out and they can push a button and, squirt it in their face and you drink some and all that kind of stuff. The physical convenience of that should be a little bit off to the side. At the college level, we talk to the trainers and ops guys about where that should be placed. But these are things that many times don't get considered as it relates to the profile of the player and what their desires are. Now, remember, I've got what I call my RMP assessment that assesses human desires. And it's that data that helps us influence what the environment provides itself, especially during practice sessions for football and baseball. Basketball, indoor court sports are a little different as far as where you play stuff. I used to have my water carts placed way off the court. And then we would jog or sprint to the water thing as a way to end a particular piece of the practice. And we would have it in. And this comes to another piece I want to mention to you guys about the way you schedule your practices and have these breaks, these chunking. Football does a great job of that. They've unitized their practices into time frames. Many of the college and actually pro programs will have clocks going and horns going off, which is a great acclimation of environment. You hear the horns, you're sensing the horn, whistles blow. All of that's a practice response to game-like conditions. So you try to incorporate as many game-like imagery, references, sounds that you can to replicate the game scenario. Now, that being said, knowing the desires of players and how they respond to different stimulus is important. And the RMP, my RMP, check out our website, 360mindset.com, and look at the RMP tab, the assessments, and identify that's my way of getting a really quick, accurate, 80% or above accuracy of human desire, so I can manage that data and make sure my operation is set up. The environment is properly arranged and set up to remember what that logo looks like. Holy cow. What did I do? That's really extraordinary. Well, it's called time to focus. Oh, there it is. I switched it to a different screen. Time to focus. There's the screen. Pops up. And then you get that. It's reversed for you. Time to focus at the top. And it can be on Apple Watches as well. I regretfully have not yet finished the Android version of this, but it will look the same. And here's what the game choices are. You've got a 30-second time frame, a 60-second time frame to find as many numbers as you can in those time frames. Or the third module is find all the numbers as fast as you can. which is kind of a reverse of the first two thinking. It's find as many numbers in the time frame. This one is find all the numbers as fast as you can. So 60-second play is you have my starting number is going to be 41, and obviously I have 60 seconds to finish it. When I start it, I'm looking for 41, and you can tell in the screen here there's colors. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the numbers are spinning. And this is level 7 or level 4, by the way. So I would look at this and I would find number 41, and it happens to be in color, and it turns black when I find it. And then it counts it up at the top. And up here, that number 42 is the next number, shows me that. So I got to find 42. And what's going to happen is you find a system of discovery. You create a pattern of thinking for yourself, back and forth, up and down, and you're looking for these numbers on the screen. Now, and if you get 10 or more, you get a shot at posting your scores on the internet. Now, I'm having trouble finding 43. Now, why is that? Well, there it is, because it's colored. The colors really mess you up. That's always a problem for me. And a lot of times I'll get excited right at the end. Now, today I got 5. So it gives me my score at the end. I got 5. Now, I can tell you, Time to Focus is a great game, but it's not a game. It's a psychological tool that I use psychological theory to create. So when you use this, it engages your brain through physical activity, as limited as it is, and then a time constraint on it. Those are the 3 primary components to mental cognitive fixation, getting you focused on you and your ability. Now, you're not going to get the same number. So if you did, let's say you did 15, and then the next time you did 5, that's possible because between 15 and 5, you may have taken a phone call, somebody may have bothered you, it got you off track. The more you practice this prior to a game start or some event that's going to, the importance for you to be focused on is going to help. So I advise 1 hour prior to game, players focus on this. Football players in the locker room, they got their phones out, they're doing this, not listening to music. Music isn't the only way to get yourself amped. In fact, in some cases, turning the music off is even better. So make sure you're aware of what's going on with that. So as I say that, I'm finishing up our segment, getting to our last segment, which is performance results. We're going to cut that off a little short, though, today, because I got to go sometime soon here. And I'm really glad that I've had the time I've had with you this morning and sharing with you. But check out Time to Focus on Apple iTunes. It's free. And get your string. Washer, 10-inch string, mental toughness. We'll go over it again. If you have any questions for me, give me a holler on my website, 360mindset.com. Leave me a thought. Leave me a message. Hey, this is Lowell Whiteman at 360 Performance, giving you performance insights about things that will make you sustain your elite performance as a great individual doing the things you love to do.